President Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani finally came face-to-face at the White House today after months of trading jabs. And Mamdani, who, of course, is a self-described democratic socialist, was elected to become the first Muslim mayor in New York City's history after winning the November 4th election. And joining me now is Washington Stand reporter Casey Harper. Casey, I know you've been following the meeting between President Trump and New York City's mayor-elect Mamdani all day. What kind of updates do you have with us that you can share?
Yeah, Jody. Well, as you said, they held this meeting today. It was highly anticipated in a rare face-to-face. After months of trading insults, Trump's called Mamdani a communist, a nut job, and Mamdani's fired back. He's labeled the administration authoritarian and even called himself Trump's worst nightmare. But as I watched the meeting today in the press conference, it was pretty remarkable. Here's what Mamdani said.
It was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America.
The two men were remarkably friendly, Jody. Both said that they discussed ways in their private meeting to make New York City more affordable, and they look forward to more areas where they can work together. Trump even credited Mamdani for running a strong campaign, although he's previously threatened to pull federal funding from the city. For Trump's part, the meeting offered a chance to address rising cost of living concerns, something he's been very focused on, as has Mamdani. But for Mamdani, it was also a national platform to show he can stand up to the president. Now, despite their differences, both signaled in what they said and in their body language that the door remains open for future cooperation, at least for now, Jody.
Well, it's good to see at least some signs of civility. Hopefully we'll be able to see that not only between those two, but across the board more broadly throughout politics. Congress held a hearing yesterday, Casey, on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. And I was curious how the administration is responding to this whole challenge of religious freedom that seems to be a problem around the entire world right now.
Yeah, Jody, things are only getting worse in Nigeria. In fact, armed gangs in the country carried out multiple kidnappings and attacks just this week. So on Monday, gunmen attacked a church, killing 2 and abducting 38 worshipers. And another 52 girls were kidnapped from a Catholic school in another part of Nigeria, and I believe that happened in the middle of the night. Now, attacks like these, which are pretty shocking, are why the U.S. is weighing sanctions and increased counterterrorism measures to pressure Nigeria to better protect these Christian communities. And as you mentioned, this congressional hearing yesterday, Congressman Chris Smith, who's the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa, he expressed concern over this ongoing violence against Christians in Nigeria.
Nigeria is ground zero, the focal point of the most brutal and murderous anti-Christian persecution in the world today. I applaud President Trump's recent decisive action to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern for engaging in and tolerating severe violations of religious freedom. Militant Fulani herdsmen are terrorists. They steal and vandalize, they kill and boast about it, they kidnap and rape, and they enjoy total impunity from elected officials.
As he said, D.C. has placed Nigeria back on the list of countries of particular concern, and President Trump notably has even threatened military action if Nigeria's leadership fails to stop these attacks on Christians. At yesterday's hearing, Jonathan Pratt, who's a senior official at the State Department, this is what he said.
The Trump administration is developing a plan to incentivize and compel the Nigerian government to better protect Christian communities and improve religious freedom. This plan will consider U.S. state and Treasury engagement on sanctions, as well as possible Department of War engagement on counterterrorism and other efforts to protect religious communities.
Now, Nigerian leaders, they insist the situation is more complicated and that they are working to protect religious groups. U.S. officials say the new designation has grabbed Nigeria's attention, but they stress that more needs to be done to protect these Christian communities, Jody.
Well, so much going on there, Casey. That is a huge story. We're certainly keeping the Christian community there in Nigeria in our thoughts and prayers, and encouraged to see some steps, at least to address this issue. The administration is working to address another big conflict, Casey, and that has to do with an attempt to end the war in Ukraine. What updates do you have for us there?
Yeah, Jody. So the U.S. has drafted a 28-point peace plan to end the war in Ukraine, and both Kiev and Moscow are now reviewing it. So this proposal, what's in it? Well, it would give Russia significant concessions, including more territory, and it would also limit Ukraine's military size, and importantly, it would block them from joining NATO in the future. But it does require Russia to pull back from some occupied areas. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, he says Kiev is facing one of their toughest moments in their history. And he said his country has a tough choice, either lose their dignity or lose their most important ally, the United States. Why is he saying that? Well, the U.S. officials have reportedly threatened to scale back weapons and intelligence support if Ukraine refuses to sign this framework deal by next week, which is Thanksgiving, Jody.
Wow. Casey, as always, we appreciate you giving us updates on so many different issues. Always appreciate the great work that you do.